Hi, Valerie here, trying to show you how I make my homemade yogurt. I am no yogurt queen, so I'm not gonna be here with tons of statistics or anything like this. It is just the process of what I do to make my homemade yogurt. I learned it from a couple of different people that I have found online, and I kind of combined some of the things that they did with each other and created my own way. I do think that what I get tastes better than any of the store-bought yogurts. I don't like the very tanginess of yogurt, and I would say that mine doesn't come out tangy. I like a thick and creamy yogurt, and I can show you how I get that as well. If you're thinking it's gonna be too hard for you, you're wrong. If you're thinking that you don't have the things in your house that you would need, you're wrong. It's extremely easy and you need next to nothing besides the products that I show you right in the beginning of the video. So I'll show that to you in just a couple of seconds. There's a couple of things that I wanted to say before I show those clips. I talk about getting temperatures up to a certain degrees and getting temperatures down to a certain degrees. Don't overthink that. The first time I made yogurt, I overthought it. I was constantly checking the temperature. Don't do that. You don't need to be that person. It's not that big of a deal. Basically, you need to get it up to 180 to 200 degrees. Different people I've watched do different temperatures. And so I just kind of fall in that range. I don't overthink it. And after doing it a ton of times, that I've realized you really don't need to stand there with your thermometer every 5 or 10 minutes. Just let it go. And once it starts getting really steamy, not a little steamy, when it starts getting really steamy and kind of frothy on top, you know that you're getting a lot closer. And that's when you can start testing your temperatures. When you get up to 180 or a little bit more, just let it go a little bit longer and just turn it off. The only thing you don't want to happen is your milk to curdle. And it'll have to go past that before it gets to that stage. So you don't really need to worry about it. It's not that creates the yogurt anyway. It just kind of sterilizes things from what other people have said. I do not know the science behind it. So don't get on my case about all of that. It's just what I've learned in my process and my outcome. So get it down to a certain degree. Just let it sit and cool down. And then go and check it from time to time. If it goes past 110, it goes down to 100, just turn it back on, let it warm up a little bit, stir it. It's okay, you can warm it back up. It'll be perfectly fine. So with that being said, follow along with my steps and learn how I do it. It's extremely easy. Now, if the tanginess of yogurt doesn't bother you, if a thin yogurt doesn't bother you, you don't even need to do the straining portion of it. The straining portion will give you a less tangy yogurt and it'll give you a thicker, creamy yogurt. It's the only thing or reason why I do the straining process. I like a thicker, creamy yogurt and I don't like the tang. And so straining some of the whey off of it gives me the right texture and right taste for my own liking. But if those things don't bother you, I would say not to even strain it. Skip that part, skip that step, and at the end of the day, you also end up with more yogurt because you have a bigger quantity. I take off a lot of the whey and end up with a little bit less quantity, but it's something that I will eat and I still get the benefits of eating yogurt, and it's very healthy for you. So keep on watching. Thank you for clicking on this video, and I hope that you try it out for yourself. Let me know if you do. Bye. All right, everyone, it's Valerie. Thank you for coming to see the video. And of course, this is just what the title said, how I make my homemade yogurt. I make it in a big batch. It lasts me quite a while. This is my Ninja crock pot, and I bought it or got it because I really wanted this setting where you could set the temperature, because if you make yogurt, making it with specific temperatures does work best from what I understand, but I've never done it that way. I thought I could with this, but I can't, so I'm making it the same way I always have with my crock pot. I used this the last time, came out just the same, so I know that this will work for me. But you'll need basically that. You'll need a bowl for later on, a whisk and a thermometer. You'll need a single serving size of no flavor yogurt, and you wanna make sure that in the ingredients, it'll say active cultures in it, and you'll basically wanna make sure that you have that. Mine says it right here. If you can see that, it says active yogurt cultures. You'll wanna make sure that it has that in it. You want to get whatever kind of milk you want to use. You do not need to use whole milk. You do not need to use this specific type of yogurt, just that if it has cultures in it and no flavor. I've never used this milk before. I just know that this is creamier when I drink it, and so I think it might give me a different texture than the gallon I used before. Typically, I just buy a gallon of whole milk. I use whole milk. You can use whatever you want. It will change the texture that you get, but it won't change the fact that you're making yogurt. And so I'm just going to put as much as I can fill into the crock pot. The exact amount doesn't make a difference. The exact amount of this doesn't make a difference. You just want to put in about a single serving size if you're going to do a gallon. If you're going to do a half gallon, do like a half of a single serving size. It's not direct measurements. That's all you really need to make yogurt. See my little quote fingers? I like a thicker yogurt. So I get 2 strainers and 2 things like this. People use cheesecloth. This is what I have, and I use it, and it works for me. And I sit the strainer in a pot like this. I put this inside of it, and then when the yogurt is ready to put in here, which you'll see later on, I put it in here, tie this in a knot, put it in the fridge, and drain the whey off of it. All right, so the process is basically pouring your milk into the slow cooker. I mean, it doesn't get much hotter than that, right? You just fill it up. I use a gallon, and I had extra room in here. This time I'm using 2 of these, and I'm gonna see really what fits in here. And you basically put this in, and you want to bring it up to at least 180 degrees. You can go up higher than that. I typically go like 180 to 200, and then I turn it off, and when we let it cool. So it's poured in, get the temperature up, turn it off, let it cool. I'll show you that when I get to that step, which is going to be in a bit. Okay, so I've gotten to the next step. It is now right at around 190 degrees. I don't go all the way up to 200, but being that I've watched videos where they say 180 and I've watched videos where they said 200, I just kind of go in between and just call it a day. Works for me. So at this point, I just unplugged my crock pot. It is now off. I will not need to have it on for any of the other process. This just needs to cool. You need to get it down to around 110 degrees. If you put in your yogurt, or what they call your culture or your starter, in now, you'll kill the active cultures in it, which is the good bacteria that you want in your yogurt. So what I did is I just put the amount of yogurt that I wanted to in this bowl earlier, so it would just come up to room temperatures. That way it won't be really cold, and it won't also take down the temperature later on when I use it. This needs to come down to 110. I'll ladle some of that milk into that yogurt, stir it up to make sure it loosens up the yogurt, gets it nice and smooth and liquidy, and then I'll pour that in. That way you're not chasing the clumps of yogurt around trying to break them up, because basically you don't want any clumps of yogurt in your milk. So you can already see it's forming a little bit of a skin on top. So I do that, and it keeps it from doing that. And then I'll be good to go for the next step, which is start in the yogurt. And again, you're gonna leave it after that. I'm telling you, it's not much work at all, and it works really well. Guys, it is the next morning, and this is my yogurt. I've already looked at it, so I'm gonna add in a little short clip of me opening it up this morning after this, of exactly what it looked like when I dug in. But I accidentally must have hit the stop recording button when I was doing it, so I didn't get like me talking. But that's okay. As you can see, this is my yogurt done. This is the texture that I get from doing it. It's kind of heavy to pick up, but that's the texture I get without doing anything else to it. As you can see, it's pretty thick. I'm gonna show you how it looks after me like stirring it and stuff like that, and I'm gonna tell you everything now that I was gonna say then. So basically, the last time I was on, I showed you how I unplugged my crock pot. I leave it unplugged. You do not plug it in after you get it hot. You unplug it and let it cool down. Like I said, 110 degrees. Once it gets down to 110 degrees, the yogurt went in. I already did that. Just like I said in one of my last videos, that was going to be the next step. So you just pour that in, stir it, and make sure it's mixed well, and that's it. This is where you get at next. Overnight, you let it sit. This has been about 11 hours. So the towels, you're like, why is it on towels? I wrap mine in towels overnight, and I use towels hot from my dryer, and I just put one long ways and one vertically, and then wrap it like a little present over the side of the crock pot and leave it overnight. You don't want to move it. The least movement is possible is better. And the next morning you get yogurt. So this is me after I've already stirred it. So it, like, once you start moving it, you can tell that it's a little bit more liquidy, but when you first open it, it's a little bit thicker looking. But that is the yogurt after 11 hours. And I will strain this. I like a thick yogurt, and I do think that once I strain this, it actually comes out a little less tangy than any typical yogurt. It's creamier. So that is my yogurt. I'm gonna get this into strainers, and I will show you that, and then I'll show you the texture of it after it comes out the strainer. All right, so these are my 2 pots, my strainers, and obviously you can see the cloth. The cloths are soaking wet from the whey, and I basically twist it, and at first I just kind of like lay it on top, and then as it goes, I'll go in there and I like twist it up so I can kind of pick it up. But I'm gonna show you kind of how much whey comes out of this. And usually I have let it sit longer, but I don't wanna let it sit too long and drain too much and I have to go off. So this will just be the thickness that I have for this batch. And I'll just sit these inside of the bowl that it's gonna end up in. And I can show you how much has come off of it. It's got a weird, thick texture to it. I've never done anything like this before besides when I did this, so that's how much has come off of it. So these are my 2 things with the yogurt inside. I'm gonna go get that put into this container. I'll show you how much yogurt it made. And then I'll show you the texture. It'll be a little bit less thick than what I usually have. I'll probably have more whey normally, but like I said, I'm going off and I don't want it to sit for that long because then it'll turn into like a cream cheese texture, and I don't want that. And a lot of people do that and create like a cream cheese with it and salt it and stuff. I've never done that yet because I'm like, well, what's the point of going through all that work for just that little bit of cream cheese? Or it'd probably be a lot of cream cheese. But I could just buy cream cheese, just like I can buy yogurt though. I don't know. So that is my yogurt. I'll show you how much it is and the texture in a minute. And that's my yogurt. This is how much whey came off the yogurt. It's a little cloudy because I had stuck my spoon in it, but it was much clearer earlier. And then this is how much yogurt I get when I do it. So that's that. The texture is a bit creamier than earlier, a bit thicker than earlier, and to me the whey is like the sour part of the yogurt, because when I taste it, you can taste that sourness that you taste when you eat yogurt, that bitterness. And to me, this tastes a lot creamier. And so for me, in order for me to try to eat yogurt every day or almost every day, this is a good way for me to be able to get it to where it's something that I want to eat every morning, or at least very often. And so I make it myself, and I can pick the exact ingredients that I put into it, the exact sweeteners that I put into it, what fruit I put into it, if it's organic, if it's not. And it's a way for me just to customize it myself every single day. I always have things like pecans or walnuts and sliced almonds in the house to put inside of it. I used honey to sweeten it. Very seldom do I put fruit in it, but if I do, I usually take like some raspberries, put them into a bowl, smash them up, and then mix the yogurt and honey all together and eat it like that. That's my favorite fruit to put in it. Even though I'm not a huge raspberry fan, for some reason I find that tastes better in the yogurt. And sometimes I just put berries on top of it after I had mixed the honey into it, sprinkle almonds on top, and sometimes I've gotten the quick cook steel cut oats and sprinkle that on top because the texture that it gives to it, but you gotta eat it pretty much right away so it doesn't get stuck and soft. But it gives me a way to have oats in my diet without having to eat oatmeal. It's kind of like adding a nut to it because it has that texture and almost that taste, but it's not soggy oatmeal. That's like the only way for me to get oats that I will eat. So there it is. If you wanted to know, that's how I do it. Do I know everything about yogurt making process? No, I do not. But I do know a process that works for me, and that's how I do it. So I do want to learn better ways to be able to use this. I know that it's whey. I know that it's considered whey protein, and I know that that's really, really good. It just The taste of it's so sour. I know people say that they make lemonade with it. I can't imagine, even if you put lemon inside of this, that it would taste good. And then if you have to add a ton of sugar to it, like, to me, that's kind of pointless. But I'm going to, if nothing else, pour this in my garden. I heard that at least it's good for plants. So it's better than just pouring it down the sink. But I don't know what else to do with it. One day I'm gonna make sourdough bread with it. I heard that that's a good thing to do with it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Catch my next video. Not sure how many people are actually interested in this, but being that every time I've made it, people always ask me questions. When they see me, they ask me questions like, you know, if I really do make it from scratch. And technically, I mean, I do. I use store-bought yogurt. I've used different yogurts to put inside of it. Usually I don't use like the 0%, but that's just what I found at I went to the Walmart market and that's all that they had. So I have to just get what I can when I go stop there, and that's what they had. So next time I'll probably use a completely different yogurt, but as long as it has active cultures in it, you can use it. Bye. Like and subscribe down below. Love you guys.